circle of rat back and I'm going and leaving tracks and morning. And I don't give a crap whether you streaming, you torrent this. You can try to contest, but you'll be needing an army. Beat them in Normandy, current rappers eat to the warning stone.
All right, welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let's talk about Cesaro and Seth Rollins. So Roman has his own parade of champions. He's going to come out and talk about all the, Heyman's going to talk about all the things Roman's done. And while he's talking, and Roman is calling for Jimmy. Roman wants Jimmy to come out there, and instead he gets Cesaro. Cesaro's arms in a sling, and Cesaro basically says like, "Hey, let's run that back." And then Roman's like, "You want me to break that other arm?" And Cesaro's like, "Don't worry about that. It's just a flesh wound. I'll be all right. Let's run it back." I was looking for Seth Rollins. I couldn't find him, and he gets about 2/3 way down the ramp before Seth Rollins hops it and just brutally attacks him. And Roman takes his leave. He's out of there. This ain't got nothing to do with him, so he leaves. And Seth Rollins then continues to mauling Cesaro in this elongated segment in which, he threw him up against the steps, threw him up against the barricade, ripped off the sling, stomped him twice, screamed and got the crazy eyes, and it was pretty well done. Of course, it has the same problems these things always have, and that is nobody came out there to do anything. Nobody came out there to do anything to stop this sadness. That is such an important piece. Like I harp on things like that because it's so important in storytelling. That if somebody sees a thing going wrong, that you try to fix it. And this guy who has one arm is getting mauled on TV. And you but everybody in the back just sitting back, like, what are they doing? Gossiping around the coffee machine? Like, where is everybody? But anyway, Rollins stomps out Cesaro, beats him halfway to death. And then in the post beatdown promo, he is breathing very heavily and saying to himself that, saying to, I guess, Caleb Blackston, I don't know who the hell that was, that he blacked out. He doesn't know what happened. So then Cesaro is coming by. He's on a stretcher, and Rollins grabs him and says, "Why did you do this to me? Why are you making me this person? When will you learn? When will you learn?" All right, so Rollins is having a classic breakdown. Now, this is a pretty archetypal piece when it comes to a narcissistic character. Tricksters tend to be narcissists. They think that they're smarter than everyone else. So the Seth Rollins character is all about, having this great vision. He's always called himself the architect, right? What is an architect? An architect is a builder. He puts together things, right? So he uses his brain to visualize how a thing should be, how a thing should go. So when you think about the architect, most people say like, "Oh, he's the architect of the Shield." But now you're looking at it from the perspective now the character is growing. He's not the architect of the Shield anymore. The Shield is gone. So now he's he goes from there to the Monday Night Messiah. He's trying to save everybody. He has a vision for Raw, right? Everything with Rollins is about his visions. Vision, vision, vision. That's what the architect is. But he's a trickster, right? He's a liar. He's a manipulator. He's always up to no good. But he's also a narcissist. That's a huge part of the Seth Rollins character, is that all of this is about his ego, right? And his ego is very fragile. And as we've seen throughout the history of when he really started coming into his own with his character after he wrestled The Fiend, he has been becoming very fragile, as far as his ego is concerned. And little things, if you remember going back to Raw, when he was yelling at Tom Phillips because Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe and all those guys were laughing at him. And he went over to Tom Phillips and he was bullying Tom Phillips, right? And so you see that the character has been pretty consistent. It's like they've changed it because he can't be the Monday Night Messiah anymore. So now he's being, the Friday Night Delight or whatever. I think that was John Morrison's nickname. But they've changed it to a more politician-based character. So it went from being an architect to being a messiah to now being a politician. But the spine of the storyline is all about Seth Rollins having a big vision and him having a huge ego. And, him having a narcissistic personality. So now when you have somebody with a narcissistic personality, they don't take personal slights very well, right? They don't take criticism. And when you have people who think that they're very smart, they don't take criticism very well. And when you look at something, and not just criticism is the most basic of things, right? They typically feel the need to get back at somebody who was criticizing them. So imagine if somebody was actively humiliating them, actively embarrassing them. Then they really feel the need to really have to do something. And it's a defense mechanism. They have to do something. So with Rollins, him having been embarrassed by Cesaro, being swung around 23 times or whatever it was, he really harped on how embarrassing that was, how people were laughing at him. And people thought it was a joke. And people thought it was a game. And he's got that mask on where he's, laughing and playing around and talking about drip and all that stuff. But in reality, he's fractured. He has to get back for that. He cannot let that slide. And then loses the match. And then loses the rematch. So now he's really broken mentally. And that's why he says, I blacked out. I didn't know what happened. Well, that's his narcissistic personality disorder. And that's very interesting for, a wrestling character. Because most wrestlers have, it's part of their gimmicks that they have to have excessive confidence. But very few actually play into, especially in WWE these days, where you've got a guy like The Miz who is, not exactly narcissistic. He's exceptionally arrogant. But The Miz will lose, get embarrassed or whatever, and not really have much of a response. He will go back to being the most must-see superstar in WWE or whatever. When you look at Seth Rollins, his character is developing in so much as he used to come out smiling and grinning and he was happy and he's rubbing his hands together and he was talking about his drip, drip, drip. And now he's completely out of his mind. He's gone bonkers, because they're showing that he's not all there, so, and not just he's not all there, but that he have a very difficult time controlling himself and having control of his own functions, that he's out, he's gone. So I think this is the Hell in a Cell match, I believe. I think this is the SmackDown Hell in a Cell match. I think it's Cesaro and Seth Rollins. And that's a good idea. I like that idea. You can do it now because Cesaro is in a position where he's seen as a top level guy. So you can do that. Seth Rollins is not going to get out of the way. As long as Seth Rollins is still around, Cesaro is not going to be able to move forward. So I think they did kind of tease, and a lot of people were like, oh, they're teasing Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. It's like, dude, have you been watching this show? They're not doing Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, man. Okay? It's no time soon. They're not doing that. Because neither one of them are turning babyface, so it's not going to happen. He's not anytime soon. Maybe Seth Rollins has to crack completely in order for, to begin a rebuilding of his character and personality and stuff like that. But no, this Seth Rollins is 100% heel. He's a nut. And that's a good thing. Because we need more very aggressive forward heels on the roster. Not only if they could have some aggressive and assertive baby faces, even if it just means somebody else for Seth Rollins to beat up, and I say this all the time, is maybe somebody else could come out there, anybody, Dominic Mysterio, who knows, who cares? Just get out there and be like, get away from this guy, man. What are you doing? And then when he bends over, Seth Rollins beats the hell out of him too. Throws him up against the ring apron, throw him against the steps, throw him over the announce table, him scream, get out of my face, or something. Just anything. But I did enjoy the segment though, because I thought that, Seth Rollins being broken is very good. But you have to ask where we go next, because once he rebuilds his personality, which has to happen, if you have a narcissistic personality disorder, you have to avenge the wrong, and it drives you up the wall. But then you have to rebuild your personality somehow. So we're probably looking at, well, I was about to say maybe he has to win a title, win an Intercontinental title or something like that, just so he can get his, he can have some semblance of, the greater good, going back to his visions, going back to something that's remotely normal for his character. And it has to be like a big win there somewhere. And probably the best way to do it is to put the Intercontinental title back on him, even if it's temporary, just to, build his confidence back up. Because you have a narcissistic character, he has to keep his confidence up. So that's going to be very interesting of what they're doing. Cesaro, he's pretty flat affect. He's had pretty much a flat character arc, which is, I guess it's okay. But, it's all about Seth Rollins. But let me know what you guys think. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for your time. Donate to the channel if you can, and I'll talk to you guys later.